RadLib ideology. Now, this is something that's been a problem for some time now, and I'm not about to tell you anything you didn't already know about it. But let's say we take a sociological look at what really is all around this. What is the one thing you notice about Destiny fans, Vosh fans, Xanderthal fans, the RadLibs in general? It's a collective psychosis. They want to believe what these people say because they need to. They need to believe the liberalism. I would argue that it's first worldism, pure and simple. But let's see this from a more sociological standpoint. No evidence will ever show them that they're wrong. It doesn't matter how many times you can prove the RadLib ideology is not only a fraud, not only that it doesn't work, but it's a tool of the system itself to squash dissent, or at least control dissent. It doesn't matter how much you show them. Yeah, you're not going to be able to vote in someone who is going to be able to change anything. You're never going to be able to vote blue no matter who. You're not going to be able to push the Democrats left, especially when you go like Xanderthal and take a position that's further right than Biden, because that's somehow going to push him left. By that, I'm referring to keeping the U.S. imperialist occupation of Afghanistan. To challenge Vosh or any of the like-minded ilk is to challenge their worldview. You can't even criticize the person for doing something. You can't even criticize Vosh's creepy behavior towards underage individuals. Then it's, oh, you're allying with Nazis. I mean, keeping in mind that his creepy behavior doesn't have anything to do with the actual RadLib. It doesn't have anything to do with the ideological positions he espouses. That is actually unrelated to them. But still, if you attack this creepy behavior, which not only is he already admitted, everybody knows is true, they just don't want to hear it. You can't even criticize someone for being a threat to underage people. I want you to think about that. No one is even saying just get rid of the RadLib ideology. Just don't do that. And still, they will do nothing but scream fascist at you. There's a term for this. Cult of personality. It is nothing but the truth that humans are tribalistic. Human beings naturally want to belong to the group because that's a base instinct in people, because it means the survival of the species. Far from this ridiculous libertarian notion that somehow it's the survival of the fittest, when we can prove that's actually literally not true. Evolution did not occur that way. In fact, adaptability to changes in the environment and cooperation has always meant the survival of the human race. The opposite of this ridiculous notion of, only the strong will survive and the strong is, shut up. You're wrong. You could scientifically prove that you're wrong. But this is the basis for why humans are tribalistic. Because it's in our base instinct to want to belong to the collective, to thrive and have the species survive. So this happens. You get that tribalistic mentality. You get the PC USA and Angelo trying to build his cult of personality around him. You get Bob Avakian and the cult that does exist around him. Why is it important? Why is it important to acknowledge this? Because their ideas are wrong. And not only are they wrong, because anybody can make a mistake, but the refusal to accept that they're wrong. Now, we've seen this in many tribal societies in the past. The logic is that it is better for the tribe to be wrong on a social issue than to lose social cohesion. And I think that's even true of modern capitalist society today. They would rather do something that's wrong rather than lose this whole social system itself. And what makes this different than QAnon? You could prove QAnon wrong all day, every which way. And still, they'd rather keep their tight knit of control, their false ideas, than actually lose the group. And we see this continue on in their pattern of behavior. Look at these RadLibs and their tribalism. They even have reoccurring rituals. It's a tribal communal activity to hunt the mammoth, the Unruhe, the Moppin, the anybody who dares question the RadLib ideology. By no means exclusive to me. But the safety in that reoccurring ritual. But there's nothing wrong with reoccurring rituals in society. What's wrong is what they're used for. Human nature is human nature. What's wrong is using it for evil. For the people who follow the RadLibs, or even for the RadLibs themselves, to acknowledge that they're wrong is to admit that they're doing nothing, shatters their ego. This is why I had an easier time coming to third worldism than these people do, of even acknowledging that they're not even Marxists. Because I've always said, I'm just a guy on the internet. So it was easier for me, without that kind of ego, to acknowledge, okay, first world people are awful. And the first world doesn't want revolution. It needs revolution, but it doesn't want it. And then there's the whole argument for third worldism going back, but there's no space for that here. That's not what it's here. The point is they're also doing a kind of identity politics. They identify as RadLibs. It's not just a position they hold, it's who they are. And when you do that, and you combine that with such ego and such profit motive from donations, they'll refuse to let go and acknowledge that they're wrong. In fact, they'll even see that they're wrong and refuse to acknowledge it. Look what happened when Fellow Traveler destroyed Vosh in a debate. Vosh just pretended it never happened. Look what happened when Mexi destroyed Vosh in a debate. You started using all manner of sexist insults, which apparently are okay by his followers, because they all turned around and started making excuses for it. Just like his tactical use of the N-word. If that's not a cult of personality, what is? If wailing at someone with sexist remarks isn't the emotional outlashing of an injured ego, what is? This in turn proves third worldism correct. Third world people are struggling for survival, while first world people are begging for a comforting identity. They're looking for that tribe that they can belong to and feel comfortable, so they don't have to feel they have to lash out at an unjust system. And RadLib ideology is the epitome of that. Don't worry, you're not the mainstream. You're totally against it. But you don't have to do anything of substance ever. If that's not the epitome of first worldism, what is? And it's painful for them, for someone to say something like this out loud to them. Because it'd be better to say, being a principled person in the era of universal decline is a difficult thing to do. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.